Welcome to Real Talk Tuesday. My name is Dr. Royal Baxter, and I serve as the Associate Director for the Department of Campus Life at Clayton State University. Each Tuesday, we will be uploading these short 15-minute Real Talk leadership videos to assess you with your continuous leadership as a leader on and off campus. So, today I want to talk to you about pivoting from your position in the game. Pivoting in your position in the game simply means having to change course, turn, or in response to something, use a different technique to get your desired results. What does that have to do with leadership? Well, to be an effective leader, you have to understand what it means to pivot, know when to pivot, and have some strategies on how to be an effective pivot leader. Right now, we are in some unprecedented times. We are in some circumstances that I don't think any of us in our lifetime have experienced. However, as they say in Hollywood, the show must go on. As leaders, the show must go on. You are still expected and required to do a job, to lead your peers, to lead your organization members, and to continue to engage our student body at Clayton State University. How are you supposed to do that when you yourself, as a student, as a leader, as a human, are experiencing some of the most astronomical things you've ever experienced as well? Now, we truly understand that you yourself, even us as administrators, are experiencing some challenges, right? But I also look at our challenges as opportunities. And that's how you have to go into this if you want to have a pivot leadership mindset. So the first thing I will say to you, especially our real world leaders, is to remember what the acronym REAL stands for. Let's start with the R. R stands for relevant. Something is relevant when it is appropriate to the time, appropriate to the circumstances, appropriate to the condition. Your organization has purpose. There is some relevance there. Remember what your purpose is. Your purpose has not stopped. Sure, we're quarantined. We have stay-at-home orders all across the country. We're unable to physically access our campus right now and even physically access our members and touch our peers in a way that we can reach them with whatever we had designed. But you are still relevant. You had a purpose that you defined for your student organization. It's in all of your constitutions. That's required. Remember what your purpose is. Go back, reflect on your purpose, and then begin to strategize on how you as a leader can lead your peers, can lead the members of your organization in such a way that you can still stick to the purpose, still stick to the relevance of your organization, and still contribute to our student engagement opportunities offered at Clayton State University. If you were relevant before COVID-19, you certainly should still be relevant even now. The E in REAL, effective. And effective is defined by someone who successfully reaches an intended goal or desire. Again, the requirement as a student leader, as a member of a student organization, especially an executive member, and even in your life, think about goals you have set for yourself. When you set goals for yourself, the only way you can truly say you were effective in reaching those goals is by your measurement of success. Did you successfully reach the goal? If I set a goal saying that I am going to exercise 5 days a week, at least 30 minutes a day, the only way I know I reached that goal is if I actually do what? Exercise 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. Now, what happens if I'm used to exercising outside? I love to exercise outside. But what happens when it rains? When it rains, I don't let that stop me from reaching my goal. I figure out how to pivot and how to continue to be effective, and I come up with something to do inside. I just change and pivot to be relevant to my circumstances. Okay, that might be too much. Let me break this down to you. In relevance, I said that I want to work out 30 minutes a day for at least 5 days a week. For me, working out outside may have been the most effective. for that time. But now that the rain is outside, maybe the temperatures aren't really pleasing, it's too hot, it's too cold, that's not going to stop me from being effective. I am going to pivot and do my workout inside. You have to think about that. That was a simplistic way, but think about that with your student organization. You still have goals. You have things that you set up when you met with your executive board, when you met with your advisor. You have things that you sat down and you all came up with at the beginning of last semester. So the beginning of fall, maybe in August, maybe over the summer, maybe even at the beginning of January. You had some goals that you set. How do you still reach those goals, right? You still have to be effective to get those desired goals. So this is going to take some thought. This isn't something you're just going to say, aha, I got it. I can be a pivot leader. You have to get into a pivot leader mindset. The A in real, which is authentic. Now, this is going to really help you all more than you think, because in order to be authentic, it just means that you're being your undisputed original version of yourself. So if we shave down all of the fireworks, if we shave down some of the things that we were accustomed to having access to, including physical space on campus, if you shave all of that down, you take all of that away, which it has been taken away in some circumstances, and in most circumstances for us, are your organizations still able to be who they say they are? Are you as a leader still able to be who you say you are? I certainly hope so, and I certainly believe so. I think that you have to believe that. You have to sit down and strip down and say, without all of the physical capabilities that I've been accustomed to, without the funding that we may have been expecting and we've been accustomed to, I am still me. My organization is still my organization. Our purpose is still our purpose. We still have goals. And how do we put all this together to represent who we really are under these circumstances, right? A lot of that comes to you figuring out that authentically under it all, you are some geniuses. You guys are the most technologically savvy generation that we have to date. There are so many different tools and resources and opportunities for you to still be as effective and engage your student organizations using technology. As Clayton State students, we have access to Microsoft Teams. Some of you may be familiar with Zoom, so that you can get on these Zoom conference calls or these Microsoft Team conference calls and hold some meetings just as you would in person with your student members, with your peers, and even with your advisor. Do it virtually. How about using those platforms to hold some virtual events? Some organizations, and if you follow them on Instagram and other areas, you will see that there are some really creative things coming out of our student organizations in a virtual platform. TikTok is a great one. I haven't done a TikTok officially yet, but I am looking forward to getting involved in it. If that's what it's going to take to connect to you, to connect our students, to keep them engaged, to keep the purpose of my organization going, to be effective in the goals that we've set, and to continue to show them that even when you strip it all away, we are still authentically who we say we are, then that's what I'm willing to do. And the L, leader. A leader is someone who commands, someone who directs, someone who organizes their followers. Each and every one of you are leaders. Just by clicking on this video, you have decided in some form or fashion that you are a leader. And I'm sure you are a leader, even if it's off campus, maybe in your home, maybe in your community. This is the time where the cream rises to the top. At this moment, during these unprecedented times, you came into this thing as a leader with a playbook, right? It's like going into the game. Those of you who caught the live that we had last week, you go into the game and you have a game plan and you've already drawn up your strategies and your plans. This is how we're going to defeat our opponent. This is how we're going to score so many scores. If they do A, we're going to do B. And if they do C, we're going to do D. And you have this whole game plan laid out. Well, what happens when you get in the game and they don't do A? They don't do C. They do X, Y, and Z. Now, I'm not saying you should have thought that far in advance and you should have 26 backup plans, one for every letter of the alphabet. But what I am saying is to be a pivot leader, you now have to take, first of all, some time. This is not a rush process Take some time to evaluate your situation, to evaluate your circumstances. Secondly, let's identify the resources that you have available. Use your peer members, use your advisors. Reach out. You don't have to do this alone. Reach out to your members, reach out to your advisors, and let's use all of us together and get our brain power together so that we can strategize on how we're going to be able to still reach our goals, right? How are we still going to be able to be leaders? You sit down, you evaluate your circumstances, you identify your resources, and then you strategize and you plan this out because right now we're all having to pivot. You are having to pivot. The concern isn't if you are able to pivot. The real question is, are you willing to pivot? Are you willing to step away from the norm? Are you willing to do something different than what you've been accustomed to? Are you willing to say, I know I thought we had it all planned out and we put all our events in campus labs and we already talked to this vendor and we already talked to this organization and we already talked to this department and we all had it together. Are you willing to step away from all of that, throw away that playbook, and create a brand new playbook? It's scary. It's scary. It brings anxiety. How am I supposed to do that? And then in such a short amount of time, this all just happened so quickly. We just found out that we're not going to be able to access campus. We just found out that all of our on-campus events are having to be canceled. How am I going to do that so quickly? I don't have any scientific answer for you. I have an answer that has been Nike's campaign forever. Just do it. You are a leader. You are exceptional. You are extraordinary. This is the time that you show what a leader really does, who a leader really is. This is the time. Just do it. And know that you are not doing this alone. You have an organization of members. You have an advisor or advisors who are ready to assist you. You have a team of administrators in the campus life team, in the student life team, in the division of student affairs who are welcoming any questions, any concerns, and we want to assist you any way we can. But it has to start with you. You have to want it in order to do it. It is your will that is going to shape the trajectory of the future of your organization right now. It is your will. Forget all of the things you did last week, 2 weeks ago when we were still on campus. I know this is going to sound harsh. Forget about all that. That's good stuff. In fact, we're going to recognize you all for that in just a couple of weeks. But at this point, are you willing to pivot from all of that in order to come up with a new playbook so that you can stay in the game? That's been my time. I hope you've gotten something out of it. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to email me directly at royalbaxter@clayton.edu. You can follow me on Instagram if you have an Instagram profile at Dr. That's DR _ A _ Royal Baxter. And again, thank you for watching. That's it for today's Real Talk Tuesday.